Hi, hello, and welcome to According to Weeze the podcast, where we're going to have candid conversation with the hopes of finding a way forward in community. See, we exist and experience life at the intersection of our complex identities and our socio-cultural and political systems. And let's be real, the only way to dismantle it all is to start by dissecting it. So get cozy, get comfy, and let's dive in. Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of According to Weeze the podcast. I almost forgot what my podcast name was called.
I love
You'd
it.
swear I know my own name. Maybe it's because I'm so excited. Y'all, I am so excited. I am so excited. So I'm going to do that really annoying thing where I don't tell people who you are until like the very last second.
Until the very last
People are going to be
moment.
like, bitch, you're so annoying. My guest is and I already like dished this to him before we started recording, but is just one of the most beautiful souls. I came across this human. This is gonna be interesting. Try not to say your name. I came across this human on the internet, on the IGs, and you were just posting. First of all, things that I was just like, yep, yes, yes. But the way that you do it, and the way that you create community, and the way that you engage, and the way that you just authentically show up in the world, I was like, yo, I know this person. This person feels like home. Like our spirits know each other. And it was the first moment. And he already knows this. I told him this, but it was the first moment that I was like, oh my God, he is my best friend in my head. And then to all of you who have ever said that to me, and I've paused and been like, oh, thanks. I now understand. I get it. And I am so fucking honored. So I have to name that to anyone that has ever said that to me, because this is how I felt about you. I was like, I can't wait for outside to open up so I can meet my best friend in real life.
Yes.
But I can't say enough amazing things about you. And instead of, dragging it out, I'm going to let the people just meet you and hear you and see all of the things that I saw, which is why, I don't even remember how it happened. I think I had been liking your stuff, and then you had been liking mine, and then I think I had said something about white people and ducks, and then you were like,
Yes.
ooh, yes, and then, okay, wait, I didn't tell you this. And then I had a moment and I was like, oh my God, did Brandon comment on my post? Yes, we're friends now for real.
Yes.
But yes, okay, I just said your name.
I love
Brandon
it.
Kyle Goodman, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, so, well, you know, I do things a little unorthodox.
Sure.
Your fancy, beautiful, curated bio will be in the show notes.
Gorgeous.
But what
We love
I
that.
like to do is really just give, my guests, my show co-hosts for the day, the opportunity to just introduce yourself to the people how you want to be known in the context of this conversation right now.
Yeah. My name is Brandon Kyle Goodman. My pronouns are he, they. I identify as Black, queer, non-binary human individual who is out here writing and acting and speaking and just doing whatever I can to make space for the things that I wish I saw when I was a kid. I think that's probably the best way to describe
End of
what I'm
episode.
doing.
That was beautiful. It's like the TLDR version. And kind of springboarding off that, I think that's the first thing that really is so clear about how you show up in the world. And why you probably do. And I'm sure so many people have this feeling. Like, I'm sure you attract people. Like, you just have that energy of home and welcomeness. And I'm sure people tell you their whole life. And you'd be like,
do.
we're in the grocery store. I just said, excuse me, so I could grab some milk. But I'm sorry you're going through that. Right?
Yes.
Like, does that happen
They
to you all the
really
time?
do. They really do. Or on the internet, in person, people love to tell me what's going on. And I love to hold space for it. I mean, that's all you can really do is like hold
Right.
space for whatever anyone's experiencing.
But I think that's a testament to how you have been able to get to this place, right? Where you are creating space and you are putting forth into the world the things that you wish you had kind of coming up. And so I'd love to take us back to the young gentleman in Queens.
Yeah. Yes, in Queens. Oh my goodness.
So, how did, big question. So how did you get here?
How
Because
did
I
you get
imagine you didn't
here?
just come out the womb like, got it figured out, super authentic, like really comfortable
No.
in who I am, fuck society, here I am.
No.
I imagine it maybe wasn't like that.
It was not like that. It was a lot of trying to fit into a box, a lot of trying, like I always say that what's interesting is when, our parents and the world usually have a blueprint for us, right? There's usually like, oh, my kid's gonna be this. Oh, and you're black, so you should do this, and you're queer, so you got to do this. And I think all of us in wanting acceptance and wanting to be loved, most of us, maybe there's somebody who didn't do that, but we try to fit the blueprint. We try to follow it until you're just like, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. And usually that's a rock bottom moment. Like you're probably like at the very bottom of really trying to assimilate, of really trying to do what you're told. And then you're like, this is some bullshit. And hopefully you meet somebody like Weeze or somebody somebody else who is decided to live outside the box. And you go, oh, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can be that. Maybe I can live my life like that. Maybe there is another version to this. So I think, I'm an only child, single mother, grandmother, grew up with both of them. And I really did my best to be like the man of the house, which is what I was, rared to be. My mother would always say, I'm raising a strong black man for a strong black woman. In that sentence, so many things went wrong. I don't identify as a man and I don't like women like that. I love them as my friends, but not going,
Right.
get in the bed with you. So like that created friction. That was a really a big turning moment when I was about 21 when I came out to her. And then there was a choice to be kind of made, which was like, am I going to live my life for myself or am I going to live my life the way my mother wants me to live it? And I chose to do it for myself and still try to maintain that relationship, and things kind of got bumpy around religion. My mother became born again. And so it's that thing I've been talking about, which is like when you finally see your parent, not as a superhero, but as a person, right? And you have to start to engage with them as a person and hold them accountable like you would other people, as opposed to an untouchable kind of, on a pedestal, which is heartbreaking, because I think we all want our parents to stay on a fucking pedestal. They are, they gave birth to us, they raised us, they, not everybody's life, but most of us, they took care of us or did their best or whatever. And then there's just a point where you take those rose-colored glasses off and you go, oh no, it's just another person who is doing the best they fucking can and is gonna fuck up. And what do you do when they fuck up?
Yeah.
And how do you hold them accountable, or how do you create boundaries? And so after years of establishing boundaries between us, I think I started to inadvertently have to re-raise myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of, I had a mentor, her name is Ellen Barber, a Jewish woman who is just everybody's mom. And she took me under her wing and was teaching me how to write. But she asked me this question that I ask my students at NYU, which was, if you were your own parent, what advice would you give yourself?
Ooh, I like that.
And this idea that you, at a certain point, have to become your own parent, regardless if your parents are living or not, or around, or good or bad. At what point do you become your own parent? And if you were your own parent, what would you tell yourself in these difficult moments? How would you love on yourself? How would you nurture yourself?
Yeah.
And so that was the journey of really trying to figure out what that was. And the answer was, you're enough as you are, that there's nothing wrong with you, that you are exactly who you're supposed to be, and that by being who you are, you will impact other people. And it doesn't necessarily mean on a public stage, that's what it turned out to be, but that wasn't necessarily the goal. It was just whoever you come in contact with, you get to impact them, right? And whoever come in contact with you, they get to impact you.
Yeah.
And so what do you want that impact to look like? You want it to be fake? Or do you want that shit to feel real and honest? Yeah. So
I love that's some deep inner child work that
you could
that Ms. Ellen sent you on.
Ellen did send me on that, and then my therapist alley-ooped it. She really
yeah. Here you go. I got you.
I got you.
So you're 21.
Mm-hmm.
You decide to start living for yourself. I really love this point because I think everyone that has had to make the decision of living for themselves and no longer living by the blueprint has to have that moment of realizing my parent is a human and they did the best that they could with where they were in their own journey and evolution.
Yes.
And I have to forgive them for the things that they couldn't give me or maybe the harm that they caused to me. But I also have to take accountability for my own healing around it. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
So you have this moment that is, to me, I consider a truly defining moment. Right? Because I think about my own experience and I'm like, that was, Yep. You got a choice to make. And it's not hard. I mean, it's not easy and it is messy. It's hella hard.
It's hella hard, yeah.
But you make it. And you find the support. And so I imagine even in that journey, there was a lot of stumbling, right? Because it's like, you're like, okay, I'm not living by this blueprint. I'm not going to live inside the box. Like I'm kick out all the boxes.
Yes.
What did that look like for you? Like, what was that road like for you?
You know, it's not funny. I was gonna say it's funny, but it's maybe whatever. It's the at first, it's like okay, cool, like here it is. But then it's like I was looking to replace my mother, and so there's a quote that I've been saying. I think it's Nayira Wahid, which is, "If someone doesn't want me, it's not the end of the world. But if I don't want me, the world is nothing but endings." And so, like the initial journey is like looking for other people to kind of fill Mama's hole. Or Mama's, that sounds awful.
The void of Mom?
The void of Mom.
I like Mama's hole.
Lord.
That's what we're going to go with. You know what? That's about to be like another Netflix special. Mama's hole.
Mama's hole. Looking for somebody to fill that void or looking for, or not even someone, it could be things, whether it's sex, whether it's, alcohol. There were lots of looking for something that would fill that void. And then having to realize that, I didn't like me. Like, I still had a problem with me. Like, when I came out, I like to make a point now that I was out, but I wasn't proud. Those are two different things, right? I think we always conflate them as the same. Like, you're out, so you're proud. It's like, no, people come out. People definitely come out, but they haven't yet accepted themselves still. Just because you're out of the closet doesn't mean you accept yourself, love yourself. None of those things are equate being out. You're just out.
Yeah.
Just, and that's a step. It's a step. But then there's all these other steps, which is, how do I learn to love who I am? How do I learn to accept who I am? How do I learn to celebrate who I am? So many people, my 8th grade teacher, I went to the United Nations International School. So everybody was from around the world. And my 8th grade teacher, Mrs. Salwanis, who was Egyptian Muslim, would always say, it's not enough to tolerate differences. You got to celebrate them. And that lived with me. It's like, it's not enough to just be like, yeah, that's okay that you're doing that over there. It's like, no, I want to celebrate you. I want to honor your differences. I want to honor what makes you you. It's not just enough for me to be like, yeah, it's okay that Black people are here. No, like fucking give Black people their fucking props.
Yeah.
So the journey was, how do I celebrate myself? How do I honor myself? And that took a lot of bad relationships, a lot of Brene Brown, a lot of Iyanla Vanzant, a lot of the Oprah Winfrey Network, a lot of therapy to start to put those pieces together.
Yeah. So when you look back, was there a moment for you? So I kind of call it like it's like the rise of the phoenix, right? Like everything you're watching everything just burn down intentionally. You set fire to it, right?
Yeah.
You set fire to it and it's burning down around you and you're watching the embers glow. And from that glow comes, this is so more dramatic than I intended it to be, but we're doing it.
We're doing it.
From the glow arises this phoenix that is Brandon now. Was there a moment, if you're like, let me look back at my kind of like trajectory in this path of really not only accepting myself, but celebrating myself, that you're like, that was the moment. That was the really defining moment for me.
Yes. So for me, it happened a couple years ago, which I think is no coincidence that then shortly after, here I am with this kind of more visible platform, because I think I started to accept myself or love myself and celebrate it, which was, I was in Canada. I was in Toronto shooting this movie, Feel the Beat. And it's this family film. And I got cast as this character, Deco, who was Black and queer, but I believe, if I was really being honest, it's probably non-binary. But the whole idea was like this character, Deco, wore whatever he wanted, kind of gender bending, like fierce nails and eye makeup and all this stuff. And I remember having a conversation with the director, and this is a family film, which is why it was exciting. I was like, it's really cool that you guys are putting this like just really queer character inside of a family film. It's like about fucking time. But I had this conversation with the director, and we were talking about the character, and I was like, it's funny. I think Deco is who I would have been if my mother allowed me to be. If my mother were like cool with homosexuality and like was like, yeah, paint your nails and do this. But I think I would have become this character. I would have been that free. And then I started to ask the question, who would I be if society never got its hands on me? That's like been a big question. And that's what I think we should all be asking. Like, who would we be if Blackness was celebrated? Like, if womanhood was celebrated, like who would you be if Black women were treated like the queens that they should be the moment you got out the womb, right? As opposed to what we've had to do is kind of navigate the fact that these things aren't appreciated and aren't seen in the world. And so now we're wonderful people, but it's, there's trauma that informs who we are and how we react and how we respond. And so it's like, who would we have been if society didn't have this hold on us or told us who we'd be? And then I started to explore that. And then all of a sudden, I just started to see myself in a different light, in a light that was like, there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
There's truly nothing wrong here. And like, if I wanted to wear a skirt, I should be able to. If I want to wear heels, do it. If I don't want to, that's fabulous. Like, who deems that right or wrong? And that curiosity of like, wait, why do I think this? Why do I feel this? Is this somebody else's narrative that I've adopted? Or do I actually believe this thing? Do I actually think, like, do I actually have a problem with men wearing skirts? No, I see no problem with it. But I have my mother's head, like my mother's voice in my brain saying there's a problem there. And so it's like exploring those things. And so as I started to explore that, then I think the Phoenix rose from the ashes, where it was like, oh, I'm just going to be me. I like literally went on ASOS. I actually have a box I need to pick up of skirts from ASOS. Like, I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to just start playing with my nails and with makeup and I bought my first pair of heels, which they're just uncomfortable. Heels are just uncomfortable. So like, love them.
And so not to interrupt you, but
yes,
there is a picture of you.
Yes.
Do you know what picture I'm talking about?
There are a couple. What, with the red heels or the silver heels?
No, I think they're the red ones.
The red ones, yes. Yes.
And when I saw this picture, I was like, bitch, I can't even wear heels like that. Like, it is just, and it's moments like that for me that I'm like, if you are that person that has the voice in your head of like, you can't do this or you can't do that or, you shouldn't, I'm like, go look at Brandon in these red heels and tell me you can't.
Tell me you can't. You can.
Because you can.
Yes, that
and
photo,
do it really well in a way that is like, I'm sorry, slaying, right? Like, fierce as fuck, killing the game. Why is this, quote unquote, not okay?
Right. What is the, I mean, that's to me, and this is, where kind of, in the last few months, I was like, oh, I'm actually non-binary. And then I, made that public a few months ago. But that photo shoot was inspired when I kind of came to that realization. I was like, I need to take photos that really allow me to be fully in my mask and my femme and what's in between, because as an actor especially, you're like trying to give off a thing so you can work, a very masculine, like I could play butch, whatever. And it's like, I'm not interested in that. I can't play it. I'm not interested in it. So like, why can't I fucking post a photo with me in heels? Like, what's the problem with that? Yeah. And then really being like, what is wrong with men in heels? Absolutely nothing. Who does it hurt? Absolutely no one. Who does it threaten? Who does it compromise? You always hear, especially inside of like, which is always painful when it comes from the Black community, like cis-het kind of toxic, hotep subscribing Black community, where it's like, this threatening masculinity. And it's like, where?
Right. How, Sway?
How?
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. Whose masculinity is being threatened?
I was just going to say, just own that your masculinity is threatened because it makes you feel a kind of way because you haven't done your work.
There you go.
And that sounds like a you problem.
That sounds like a you problem. You're not free. I'm free.
Okay.
And if in my freedom I choose that I don't I've discovered in walking around LA in heels that it just slows me down.
Ain't that the truth? Let me tell you, when I first moved to New York, I was like, oh, now I understand why people wear their tennis shoes or their Uggs and then their cute heels in their bag.
Yes, heels in the bag for when you get to work, because who's trying to travel around in the heels?
That was a whole adventure. Lord.
And so for that reason, I'm like, okay, like my heels, they have a beautiful place in my closet and I'll wear them, when I'm performing or when, when I went to a Christmas party in heels once. But it's just like, I just want to know that I can play with that if I want. I just want to know that my house isn't one that's like, that's for boys and that's for girls. You can't do that here. I want my home, and when I have kids, for it to be a place where like, explore whatever you end up liking is what you like, but you have access to it all. What is this thing about like boys? It has to be blue. It has to be pink. It has to be G.I. Joe. It has to be Barbie. It's like, fuck that. It's like, my love, my individual, as we were talking about earlier with individual kids, like, what do you need? What do you want? Let's make that happen.
It's so interesting too, because I think when you get to this place of I love the way you phrase that, who would I be if society hadn't got their hands on me? Mm-hmm. I also now find myself being reactive to things that are so minuscule. So like, for example, right? Lola, my female, like genetically female puppy.
Yeah.
She has this beautiful emerald green, obviously because mommy picked it, harness and collar and leash.
Yeah.
It's green. People immediately assume that she's a boy.
Yeah.
Especially because of her structure, right? She's a beautiful pocket bully. And I find myself when people are like, oh my God, he's so cute. I'm like, she is, isn't she?
Yes.
Also, then I say they are, and people are like, "What?" Yeah. And I'm like, just because my dog is anatomically female and has a vulva and vagina does not mean that she ascribes to feminine identity. And I literally say this as I'm walking. Like I did this yesterday to somebody, and this couple was like, and I was like, bye, have a nice day.
That's so funny that you do that.
For me now, I'm like, I just want to push. I just want to push.
Yes, and you should. Somebody called Corey, my pet, a she, and I found myself instinctively be like, it's a he. I didn't say it, but then I was like, maybe Corey is she. Like, and I was like, oh, like what is that? Like, why am I putting, and Matthew and I have talked about, my husband Matthew and I have talked about this when we have kids. I was like, I want them to also have they, them pronouns so that when they're ready, they can choose whatever fits for them. I want them to know that they have the freedom to make those choices and that that's an option. And I want to, if there's something I can do differently, it's like offer that option to my kids before they have to come tell me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, can I just give you all the options, as many as possible, and then you can tell me what you want, as opposed to what so often happens is somebody has to come out to you. Somebody has to and you're like, I don't want you to feel like you have to do that. And that comes from people like you and myself and other people saying, let's push. Let's push and say, it doesn't have to be the way it always was. Like, your dog can go by she, they, he, whatever the dog wants.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, I say it's so minuscule because the dog doesn't know that it's being misgendered. Sure. The dog can't speak for itself. But I still find myself using those opportunities to be like, push, push, push. Knock, knock, knock. Like,
yes.
How dare you also make gendered assumptions for my puppy.
But to your point, it's minuscule, but it also is, to me, those moments are good for us as individuals to practice, right? Because like, if that's how you're showing up for your pup, that's how you're going to show up for me, right?
Right.
Right. Because us with puppies, we love our dogs. So if we're treating them like that, we're going to treat you. just as good, So I think it's a good practice ground to like, even those small moments that you're like, they're minuscule, no one's gonna notice. No, if somebody gets misgendered, fucking correct it. If somebody uses or pronounces somebody's name wrong and you know the right pronunciation, give it to them. Like,
right.
Doesn't matter if it's on a public stage or not. It's a moment to just expand how you show up in the world and how you protect each other, how we protect each other.
And I love that because even in those small, I find like in those small corrections, right? Of being like, oh yeah, they are so cute or she is so cute or whatever. It's done without shame, right? Or without being like, why would you do that? And so it doesn't call attention to the misstep. And so I feel it creates more space for people to also lean into the correction.
Yeah.
Which I think is super important. Super important.
Yes.
We could also sit here and talk about our dogs for like 19 hours.
We really could. We could. But
let's bring it back to you.
Yes.
So you're exploring, right? Who would Brandon be without the hooks of society?
Yeah.
Without the constraints, and you kind of have. So you have your Phoenix Rising moment. Did you find that in that like post that moment, right, when you're really like stepping into it? Did you find that the world started engaging you differently, or you started engaging the world differently, or was it like a chicken or the egg where it's like you're now showing up in the world in a certain way and now the world is both receiving you and giving to you differently? Like, what was that like?
I mean, I believe that's what it always is. I believe that you show up for yourself first and then the world will show up for you in the way that you need, right? Because it's like whatever you're putting out, you're going to kind of get back. Yeah. So I think it was me showing up for myself first. And I remember being in Toronto and I took this photo in really good light and I was like, wow. And not in like oh, she's gorgeous, but just like an appreciation for specifically my dark skin. Like, which has always been like a thing growing up. Like, I'm too dark, or I was in drama class and, they would turn the lights out during tech and be like, where's Brandon? So there was always so much stuff around my dark skin and my Caribbean black skin. And then I took this photo and I was like, oh, wow, there she is, right? Like there you are. And then I was like, I'm going to pay for a photo shoot. And I found a photographer that I liked. And when I got back to LA, we did a photo shoot. And the whole idea was like, I didn't want to play in a box anymore, right? I didn't want to do photos because I'm an actor and I want to be booked. I wanted to do it for me. I wanted it to just represent all of me. And I started posting those. And I think the world did start to engage with me differently, at least whoever was following me at the time. I think it exuded. Finally, I wasn't posting or putting things out for other people's validation. I validated myself and I was like, I don't see Black people being represented in this kind of beauty. And so I'm going to post it. And it was sometimes it was posting myself, sometimes it was posting other people. People have been following me for a long time. I used to do like a moment of queerness every day, and I would post like just beautiful queer photos by either a queer artist or queer models or whatever. It's like, yeah, I wanna push that out. Like if you come to my page, I want you to see the beauty and the love and the joy in Blackness and in queerness. And I was doing that with 2,000 followers, And so I think when it finally caught up, I was already there. Do you know?
Yeah. I do know.
Yeah.
I love that you named that because I think we, this is like totally tangential, but I think we get so caught up in this idea of like all these followers and like societally, not you and I, right?
Yeah.
Like all these followers. And so now you have to be a certain version of yourself and da-da-da-da. And it's like, no, when you are authentically living yourself, your truth, and you are so just unapologetically joyous in who you are and celebrating all of your identities and your experiences, regardless of what other people think, you're going to show up for 2,000 followers, 200,000 followers, 2 million followers, 200 million followers. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Right? Because as long as one person feels as though they're seen or they're heard or they're validated, or I'm sure people say this to you all the time, that like you say a thing or you just showing up as you almost gives other people permission to like practice showing up as themselves.
Yes.
I hold this belief that we liberate others by way of our own liberation because we model this liberatory behavior and right liberatory expression. it's like if you have 2 followers and one of those 2 followers, if you have one follower and that one follower is moved to step into their liberation, like I'm winning. Like I've done it.
You're
right?
doing
Like,
it. Absolutely.
We good.
Absolutely. I 1000% agree. And I think it's funny when the followers started to pick up, I did have like a month or 2 where I was really struggling. Struggling with like, suddenly you're just being watched. Like
it is creepy.
And like people want things from you, and like now you're questioning people's intention, and then you're tracking, oh, this post did well, but this, and getting lost in that. And I did have to really step away, and I think I took like a little break or something because I just needed to like find my joy again. Find my rest, to what we were talking about earlier, so that I was still approaching it from an authentic place, because the people that I gravitate to on social are that, like you. Like it's like, oh, when I'm on there, I feel like this is somebody I can hang out with in real life. I feel like they are letting it all hang out, and it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be cute, but it's going to be them, and it's going to be, and it's going to be them, and it's going to be thoughtful. That's the other thing. Like people, like, some people out here are reckless, and I don't follow them. Some people are just like reckless. It's like, maybe you should have sent that to a friend first.
That should have gone to like your close friend's post. Should have been a green post.
It is still a public space. So like, you do want to make sure that you're not, and I'm sure you find this as well, like you want to have that balance where it's like, I want to be authentically and apologetically me, and I'm going to say what the fuck I want to say. But also I recognize that I'm not also trying to like, not trigger, but like, I don't care about white folks inside of this when I say this. I'm saying like a Black person, marginalized groups, I don't want to hurt them with whatever I'm posting, right? So like, have your opinion, but I also want to make sure that when it goes out, that it's not doing harm to other people. Which not everybody has that
lens,
awareness. That lens, that awareness, that mandate, that consideration. Yes, that humanity, that humanness. So there was that balance of like, let me be like, who am I inside of this public space? How do I bring who I am in my private space here? How do I keep some shit private? And like navigating. I mean, I feel like all the Black creators had this, where it's like you got followed for this one thing, and then the moment
Great White Awakening.
That's the first time I've heard that. I've heard the racial reckoning, the racial pandemic, but the Great White Awakening.
That's what I call it.
Yes, I love that. Yes, post that, you're like, wait. All of a sudden you have this influx, and then the moment you try to be like, but I'm also funny.
But like, I'm a whole human.
I'm a whole person. And not taking, whether, if it's people unfollowing you or whatever it is. And this is also real life too. As you step into your fullness, not taking the people leaving as an attack or as a representation of your validity.
Yeah.
Glow, her handle is Glow Graphics. And she posted something, I think maybe in August or whatever, about that, where she's like, you know what? When people unfollow you, it's making space for like the authentic community. And I was like,
yeah, I saw that. Also, her interior design, I'd be like, girl, can you come to my house?
Seriously. I was FaceTiming with her, and I was like, girl, your
light
whole
flex.
background.
I love your light flexes. When I was teaching at NYU, when I was on FaceTime with Glow, me and Michelle Obama. Okay, no, I made that last one up, but that's what it's like.
I'm ready for that one. When that comes, that's gonna be a overt flex. I'll be like,
right,
that's
gonna be
Michelle
real clear.
Obama. Just to be clear, everyone heard Obama, Michelle Obama. That's my homegirl. Okay, cool.
Me and Mimi. That's Michelle Obama to you, peasant.
Please don't call her Mimi. It's Michelle for you. Thank you. That's my nickname for her. Thank you.
But yeah, no, I love that. It does make space because, and I'm sure you found this, there's this moment that has been happening post Robinettes. That's Biden's middle name. And so I refuse to call him Biden. Because your mama named you Robinette and it's amazing. I'm going to call you Robinette, President Robinette.
I love that. Okay, work.
So, President Robinette and VP Harris get elected, and a lot of folks they're deluded and think that the problem is solved. Or they were just like, oh, okay, now I don't have to actually care as much or pay as much attention.
Yeah.
Or I'm only going to pay attention when it's still something that I think benefits me or suits me. And so when you have the audacity to show up as a full human outside of a prescribed monolith or the purpose for which I chose to follow you, I am now offended.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to unfollow. And so I say that because it's something that I keep stressing to other folks and other educators, just anyone who kind of got an influx during the Great White Awakening is like, to Glow's point, right? You actually want those people to leave.
Yes.
Because those people only followed you because they were still so conditioned by whiteness that they showed up to consume you in the ways that whiteness has always told them that they were allowed to. And then when you had the audacity to say, no, but I'm a full human and push back against that consumption, right? You're filling the characteristic here, and now I'm going to go. Bye. Thank you so much. I didn't want your energy in my space.
Absolutely not. You don't deserve all this good.
Listen, because I'm taking a break from social media right now, and I only post random pictures to beat the ban. That's what I'm calling it.
What's beat the ban? The shadow ban?
The shadow ban. Yeah. I got tired of just being shadow banned consistently.
Is so real. Isn't that? Ugh.
It's major fuck shit.
Yeah, that's why
I can't even intellectualize that one. It's some fuck shit. It's whiteness, but I got tired of fighting it all the time and just being exhausted. And so, to your point, I was like, I got to come back to myself, find my own joy, remember why I'm showing up and doing the things and whatever. So I took a little break, but I literally play phone, like photo roulette. I'll just spin through, and I'm like, oh, there's a picture, post it. Tell you why I'm posting it, just because you have to, whatever. Sure. Anyways, that's an aside. But I lost my train of thought. What are you doing?
We were talking about letting people go to make authentic space.
Oh, the mood.
Yes.
Yes. So in that, I realized, my mood for 2021 and beyond is your privileged antics are not going to disrupt my peace.
Hey.
Have fun over there.
Yes.
We're chilling over here.
Yes.
And like, I don't know if I imagine you've stepped into this space or you maybe already existed here, but when people show up to have their own meltdowns for whatever reason, or their them problems, right, that we were talking about, I'm just like, okay, hate it for you.
Yeah.
Bye.
1,000%. I mean, when people, like, when I post whatever, and then sometimes, occasionally, I will say, I actually have a really peaceful following. For the most part, I mean, I've had some fuck shit happen. For the most part, the comments stay pretty respectful. But when it doesn't, I stay out of it. I mean, if it starts to, here's why, two things. One, other people gather them. And I'm like, great, because I've done my work. My work, like, when I was putting out like 10-minute, 15-minute videos that you record several of them, you capture, like, that's a lot of energy. And now I got to be in the comments to defend myself about saying racism is bad. Like, not here for you. Not here for you.
Racism's not bad. Like, I hate you. What?
Like, get out of here. So, one is like, I don't get in the comments, so other people will handle it. Or I'll just like, I am not afraid of a block button. I'm truly not afraid of it.
Look, my block and bless game is so strong.
It's so tight. It's good. Because it's like, this is not a space for us to debate. If I wanted to debate, I'm going to debate with me and Weeze gonna get on the phone. We're going to have a debate.
Okay.
Because we want to learn from each other.
Right.
But I'm not trying to like fight with somebody who I don't know in the middle of nowhere who's telling me that white people and white culture is valuable. And you're like, okay.
Okay.
Right. So the post said honor black people. So I don't understand what you're telling me about white culture on that post.
Again, that sounds like a you problem that you didn't understand.
You didn't understand what we were doing here.
And
so
blocked.
Be blessed. Fully. Like, oh, you don't get what we're doing here. So you've lost privileges to be here.
Oh, that's the other thing I tell people. I'm like, you haven't you haven't crossed the border into disrespectful, so you can be here, but you can only be an observer.
Hey.
Or
literally,
you have lost your privileges. I'm gonna go ahead and block you now.
Get out.
Or you know what I do? This is me just being petty, because this is what I say. This was the tagline that I used. I am a Scorpio from Oakland.
Yes.
I am never above the petty. I am just always in control of it. I will put people on restricted.
Yes.
So for people who don't know what restricted is, they can see your content, they can comment, they can engage, but they're like a ghost. Nobody can see anything that they post.
Yes.
You don't see it. Do you know how infuriating that is? But
they don't know either, right? Like
they don't know either. They don't know that they're restricted. So they're just ranting into the abyss but nobody's responding to them. It's amazing.
It's wonderful. Restricted is wonderful. I also love to mute people. Like if they're people where it's like it's getting too much. I'm like,
yes,
you could be muted right now. It's okay.
Yes.
work whatever that is out.
Right. Enjoy with yourself. Yeah. Speaking of joy. So as we wrap up, I want to bring us back to something. I mean, you say this all the time, right? In various ways, and I'm going to synthesize it just to ask the question.
Yeah.
But it's essentially figure out what you love, find your dream, and don't let anybody keep you from it.
Yeah.
That's kind of like how I've extracted the messaging of all your beautiful
That's
nuggets.
great. Yeah.
You're welcome. You can take that.
That sounds great. Thank you. I'm going to tweet that. Yeah, I love that.
Since it's yours anyways. I would love for you to just talk to us a little bit about that journey for yourself. Like, did you always know you were like, hey, I'm going to go be, because, okay, I'm also like, I'm going to actually fangirl for a second.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, please tell me about how amazing I am.
Please, I love it.
So, right, like, discover you. And then I'm like, oh, well, and so I obviously knew about Big Mouth, but I was like, oh, this tracks. But then that's how I discovered, and then I was like, Modern Love. I'm like the worst Fire Stick owner. Like I have Fire Stick and I have Prime and I don't use Prime. I use everything else on it.
Yeah.
And then shout out Prime, sorry. And then was like, oh, Modern Love. Oh, this is like super up my alley. Oh, like I love this. And then I watched it and I was like, you're really good at what you do.
Thank you.
Like I'm sure people tell you this all the time, but like you're really good at what you do.
Oh, thank you.
Like, and I don't know if it's actually like easy for you because it's work, but like it's just like because the person you were in Modern Love is not like Brandon Kyle Goodman, right? Like you were truly portraying a different human, but it was just so. It's like you just put it on as a suit, and you were like, it felt easy and smooth, and so I was just like, I can't get enough. I need more of this. I need more. I mean, writing and everything is beautiful and great, but I need more of like your face in things as other characters. If I can make a request, that's my request.
My request too.
Okay, great. If you let us know who to write to.
Yeah, right? Who do we write to? I know.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. But my listeners, shout out to y'all. We are a community and they ride hard for the people that I bring on. So if you are like, we need to write the studio of XYZ, you're going to have, listen, I'm going to be like, all right, y'all. It's time to rally. We rallying up and we're writing letters, and they will do it.
I know y'all will. That's what that's kind of the amazing thing about these communities that we've cultivated. Is that like we ride hard for each other, and we're stronger with each other. Whether it's, I saw Erica Hart. She posted about that thing that happened to her in Colombia, and I was like, I am so glad that you have this community that we can like. Fucking take Colombia to task. Because it's like, otherwise you kind of, you fly under the radar. And so even if you don't have that platform, the idea that like people are using their platform to uplift other people, I think is so special. That's what I want to say. That's really special.
Have to. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point of having followers if you don't create a community to mobilize together for whatever reason, right? Yeah. Whether it's for an injustice or to get somebody's face on a screen.
Yes.
Whatever it is. What you need. That's the question. Absolutely. What do you need, right?
What do you need?
But so that being said, it's not easy. If it were, everyone who had any dream would just be doing it.
Yeah.
But I would love for you to just like drop some gems and nuggets around that for the people before we wrap this beautiful conversation up.
Yeah. My mother would always say, and it was like that was her tagline, which was, follow your dreams. So like I grew up in a household where she said that. And I also grew up in a household where my grandmother was following her dreams and my mother was following her dreams. So there was never any other option but to do what I wanted to do. But what I will say is figuring it out, getting really quiet and saying, where am I the happiest? I was doing a lot of things. I was acting. I was, performing or whatever. But then I had this like reckoning because I'm Black and I'm queer and I'm out. I was out of the closet, or I'm still out of the closet. And so like that brought up its own obstacles, right? So it's like, well, if you're not getting the work, why do you have to wait for somebody else to give you the work? Like, can you create the work? Okay, so then what is it? But what is the work? What is the work that you want to do? First, you have to figure that out. And so it was really getting quiet and meditating and kind of trying things and being like, oh, I feel my happiest when I'm writing and performing. When I'm performing something that I've written, that's where I'm the happiest. Okay, cool. So then, baby boy, you need to write something, you know? And I think that's the thing. It's like, if there's not a lane, make your own. You know, I was thinking about, I was having my roommate after college, my roommate, Claudia, fabulous woman. I was telling her that I was thinking about going back to school for journalism because I just nothing was hitting. And she was like, I think the thing that you want to do doesn't exist. I think you just have to make it. She's like, I don't know if you need to go back to school. You might just have to make it. And so it's the other piece. Like, if the thing that you want to be, you're not seeing, you might just have to make it. You might just have to do it. And yes, that's hard because, like, we love a blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
We all love a blueprint. But sometimes you're the one who has to make that blueprint. And so in order to do that, surround yourself with people who support you. You know, start to find the people around you who to your point about the rapper, you know, find some people who will listen to your art or to whatever it is, or taste whatever you're baking or whatever it is, and give you that, you know, thoughtful, critical feedback that can help you continue to go. But find the people who are going to champion you and who see the joy in the way that your eyes light up when you talk about that dream. Find those people and let them support you and support them. That's the thing. We just talking about community. You can't achieve these dreams without community, right? Like, this podcast takes people. My podcast takes people. Like, the Modern Love takes a lot of people. The Big Mouth takes a lot of your community. So find your community. They're out there, and they have the same dreams that you have, and the same goals that you have, and they want to support you, and you get to support them. So. Did I say anything? I feel like I said something.
No, you said all the things. That was beautiful. I'm just sitting here like, say more things. But there's like time and busyness and other meetings that we must do.
Sure.
So speaking of support, one of the things that I like to do before I let every beautiful soul that comes on my show go is really ask, how can we support you? How can the community support you? What does support look like for you right now in this moment?
That is such a beautiful question. What a beautiful offering. Yeah. Look at you with all the questions, all the good questions.
You know, I try.
I mean, right now, support looks like, following me on the social medias at Brandon K. Good and listening to my podcast, Black Folks. You know, that's really, we're trying to do some cool stuff over there and trying to actually turn Black Folks into a charitable organization as well, working on some stuff where we're trying to support Black artists. So if you stay with me on social media and you stay with the podcast, you'll know what we're doing. And then when that time comes, I'm going to definitely be calling on all of y'all to help me support Black artists.
Yeah. And they know all the links to all the things will be in the show notes and all that good stuff. So
yes.
But truly, if y'all are not following this human, I don't know what you've been doing with your life.
What you been doing?
Because you get a little bit of everything. Wait, okay, before we go.
Yes.
Messy Mondays is my favorite thing to read. So Messy Mondays is something that Brandon does in their stories.
Yes.
And there's a lot of other beautiful things that happen in the stories and other days
but Mondays
of great things. But Messy Mondays makes me feel like my petty and messy is like level 1.
Yes, it is.
So very selfishly, I'm like, I love it. 1, because I love a good mess to watch other people's. I'm not above it. And 2, I'm like, oh my God, my shit that I'd be like, ooh, girl, you are tripping. I'm like, oh, this is totally normal and acceptable levels of messy.
Yes.
I think I submitted once. You had asked like, what was the pettiest thing you had done like to an ex or breakup or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you get so many, so it didn't get reposted. But I, in my younger days, post-breakup, took all the plugs to all the appliances.
Wow.
And all of the remotes.
Wow.
To any appliance that had a remote. And then I hid them very successfully in his own home.
That is petty. I love that for you. That's
so
good.
If anyone needs an idea.
That's good.
Right, because I'm like, I don't have it. I didn't have it. It was in his house.
You really
I
didn't
knew
have
where it was.
That is foolproof. Yeah, he asked the wrong question.
Right. And that's, by the time we got to it, I said, you should really ask the questions that you want actual answers to. It's not, because you know how sometimes people cheat on you and they be like, well, you didn't ask me if I had sex with them. You just asked, oh, let's play that game. Okay, well, you didn't ask me if I had taken all of the plugs and the remotes and then had intentionally hid them in your house and knew where they were hidden. You asked me if I had them. The answer was no.
It did not have them.
The answer was no.
Yes. That I should have reposted that if I saw it. I would have.
It's okay, no worries.
Yes.
But anyways, if you ever need an outlet to just go share your messy anonymously and then read other people's mess,
yes,
it's beautiful. I love it.
It's so much fun. It's fun because I feel like that's the thing about what we're talking about earlier about the fullness of people. It's like, yes, we can all be enlightened and still be a mess and still have our shit and like
our humanness, because we're imperfect and we're messy and we're petty and we're not above it. And when we fuck up, we just say, you know what? I fucked up.
I fucked that up.
That was my bad. I'm going to course correct. Let me come back. What do you need? How can I make it right?
Yes.
We good? Cool.
We good. Yes.
I'm going to do my damnedest not to do it again.
Exactly.
That's
all you can ask. That's all you can ask.
But I'm not going to lie and say that I am above. I mean, granted, I'm currently single. And hopefully the next person that I date doesn't do any more fuck shit.
Yeah.
But if they do, I'm not above pulling the plugs again.
As you should not be.
It's a great tactic.
And then you can come through on Messy Mondays and get some more tactics. Because all the people give you tactics.
It's like watching Snapped on Oxygen. It's a great study.
Yes. It's like a snap that like won't get you in jail. Like
exactly. And nobody has to die. So let's be clear. We are not condoning violence. It's like the PG, not even PG, it's the Disney version.
It's like a glitter bomb in somebody's car. Like
Correct.
Like annoying.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's actually
I didn't see that one.
Great.
That one's good.
Yeah.
Noted. Anyways, Brandon, thank you so much for being here. I'm so truly honored anytime anyone chooses to share of themselves and their time with me and my listeners. So I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, y'all. Until next time, toodles. All right, y'all. That's all I got. But don't forget your action items. 1, join me on Podia, where you can get access to tons of BTS content, including a very special Weeze and Air interview with all of our guests. 2, rate, review, especially a written review, subscribe, like, and share this podcast with all of your peoples. 3, if you aren't already, go peep me on IG, follow me there, and, most importantly, keep coming back. All right, until next time, toodles!